We want to bring in our political correspondent, Ash Kargaran. Ash has been to 3 GOP debates and has been, well, he's been following the campaign very closely. Ash, we know Donald Trump and Ted Cruz, the front runners, of course, have been taking subtle shots at each other recently. How did the Trump-Cruz showdown play out tonight?
Right, Mike. So the two candidates, like you said, who are in first and second place nationally, respectively, they went back and forth for a large portion of the night, mostly towards the beginning. Now, just yesterday, from a report in the New York Times, it was reported that Ted Cruz failed to disclose hundreds of thousands of dollars in personal loans back in 2012 during his Senate run. Now, Cruz claims he's disclosed this multiple times. He says it's happened in previous years, even to the New York Times, who published this report on Wednesday. But it seems that the Texas senator may have violated federal election rules by not putting in his paperwork for the Senate run back in 2012. Now, during the debate, Cruz explained exactly what went wrong.
Both of those filings were public, and yes, I made a paperwork error disclosing it on one piece of paper instead of the other, but if that's the best hit the New York Times has got, they better go back to the well.
Then after that, Cruz said Donald Trump has New York values, saying they're not the same values being held in Iowa and New Hampshire, two of the first voting states for primaries. He explained those comments during the debate by saying most people from New York are socially liberal compared to people in New Hampshire and Iowa, who he says are socially conservative compared to New York values. Trump retorted, saying there are plenty of GOP candidates that come from New York. Now, earlier this month, Trump questioned Cruz's birthright citizenship and if he can even run for president during this election.
The facts and the law here are really quite clear. Under long-standing U.S. law, the child of a U.S. citizen born abroad is a natural-born citizen. If a soldier has a child abroad, that child is a natural-born citizen. That's why John McCain, even though he was born in Panama, was eligible to run for president. If an American missionary has a child abroad, that child is a natural-born citizen. That's why George Romney, Mitt's dad, was eligible to run for president, even though he was born in Mexico. At the end of the day, the legal issue is quite straightforward, but I would note that the birther theories that Donald has been relying on, some of the more extreme ones insist that you must not only be born on U.S. soil, but have 2 parents born on U.S. soil. Under that theory, not only would I be disqualified, Marco Rubio would be disqualified, Bobby Jindal would be disqualified, and interestingly enough, Donald J. Trump would be disqualified.
The Democrats are going to be bringing a suit. You have a big lawsuit over your head while you're running, and if you become the nominee, who the hell knows if you can even serve in office? So you should go out, get a declaratory judgment, let the courts decide, and you shouldn't have mentioned the polls, because I would have been much different.
Why now? Why are you raising this issue now?
Because now he's doing a little bit better. No, I didn't care before. It's true. No, it's true. Hey, look. He never had a chance. Now he's doing better. He's got probably a 4 or 5% chance.
Now, it should be noticed that in the latest One America News poll, Trump does hold a comfortable lead over second-place Cruz, nearly doubling him in support nationally. And in Iowa, Trump holds a 6-point lead against Cruz with a margin of 34 to 28. We'll see how their performances tonight affect their poll numbers going forward, Mike.
All right, Ash, as we know, Republicans have fired back against President Obama's recent executive orders. Which candidates were most vocal about it, and what did they have to say?
You know, Mike, candidates were unanimous in their disdain for President Obama's executive actions on enforcing background checks for all firearm purchases. They said it should not be difficult for a law-abiding citizen to purchase firearms. It should be made difficult for criminals and people that want to use it, you know, harmfully and against American citizens. And not only do they disagree with the content of President Obama's executive actions, but they were even more upset with how he did not go through Congress and he used executive actions to, you know, go around Congress to make this happen. They said the government should focus on making sure criminals are punished and not American citizens being punished. And as far as a candidate who is the most vocal, I would have to say Marco Rubio called himself a Second Amendment defender, and he explained how he'd handle the issue if he were elected president.
And let me tell you, ISIS and terrorists do not get their guns from a gun show. His answer You name it. It doesn't. If there's an act of violence in America, his immediate answer before he even knows the facts is gun control. Here's a fact. We are in a war against ISIS. They are trying to attack us here in America. They attacked us in Philadelphia last week. They attacked us in San Bernardino 2 weeks ago. And the last line standing between them and our families might be us and a gun. When I'm President of the United States, we are defending the Second Amendment, not undermining it the way Barack Obama does.
Now, a recent Reuters poll found that a majority of Americans actually want the next president to take additional steps to tighten federal gun laws. But as with most things, Democrats and Republicans disagree on Obama's executive orders. More than 80% of Democrats supported the move, while 72% of Republicans did not.
Ash, now in the last soundbite we heard Marco Rubio discuss ISIS-inspired attacks in the U.S. with the recent arrest and release of 10 U.S. sailors by Iran, and of course the ongoing fight against ISIS. What were some of the candidates suggesting in regards to national security and foreign policy?
Right. So the candidates may have differing, viewpoints and strategies on how to defeat ISIS, but they unanimously agreed that the Obama administration is undervaluing and underestimating the threat that ISIS poses to America and the rest of the world. They said they were split on whether to allow refugees from various Middle Eastern nations or not. Trump and Cruz, they oppose these, refugees from countries that they think might, pose a threat to national security, while others like Jeb Bush say it's fearful and not American to just prevent these people from coming in. They advocated for strengthening the vetting process more so than just not letting certain individuals into the country. As I mentioned, Cruz and Trump both agreed on one point, and which is to limit these refugees from Syria or Iraq from coming into the country without knowing the full threat that they pose and without having our vetting process be completely 100% accurate and safe. We know President Obama, during his State of the Union address, asked Congress to pass a war authorization bill against ISIS, but Congress did pass a defense bill recently calling on the president to lay out a comprehensive strategy against ISIS to defeat them. With the primaries fast approaching, issues like foreign policy are sure to polarize voters in the early stages.
All right, One America's Ash Kargaran, stay tuned. We'll be checking in with you and our other political correspondents throughout the evening. Thank you very much, Ash.